Hi, this is Shanna with Against the Grain Homestead, and today we're going to be talking about... Okay, so it's that time of year again. In a couple weeks, it'll be the start of fall. So our blackberry harvest has already been done, but it is time for us to go ahead and clean out the blackberries. So you can see here along this fence line, we have several blackberries. So we have our pruning supplies here. We have these long telescoping ones, if necessary, for pruning the bigger diameter old canes. We have the smaller pruners. We have our alcohol and an old sock to disinfect the cutting blades. And then after I cut them, I like to spray some neem oil spray where I cut it. It just helps to prevent insects from boring into the cut, as well as fungus or some kind of bacteria taking hold. It's not necessary, I just like to do it. So I have all of these down here. I have to prune out the ones that have already produced for this year, and you see all these laterals, all of these really pretty new growths. This is all what will produce berries for us next year, and it's all down here. But I want to show you this particular one right here. This right here is a new cane, and if we follow it up, you can see it's woven through here. You can see it goes over there. It's about, I think it's about 8 feet long. So for example, I'm going to have to prune that down to about 3 to 4 feet tall instead. And also, all of these side branches, these are all laterals. This is a very vigorous cane right here, and you can see this side lateral in particular, it's already sent off another side shoot. You can see these are probably about 4 feet long. I'm going to have to prune them back to about 18 inches, so each of these laterals are going to have to be pruned as well. You can see over here, let me find it, and this is the tip right here of that one cane I just showed you. That is massive. It's probably 10 feet tall or long. So like I said, I'm going to have to prune it down to about 3 to 4 feet. So that is an example of what we're going to be working on this whole trellis for today. Something else that we have in between each blackberry cane or plant, we have had these yarrow right here. Squat down. We have all these yarrow plants. They are planted in between these blackberry canes. In spring and summer, every gap you see between each blackberry cane is just plumb full, packed full of white yarrow blooming flowers. If I can find a picture of what it looked like this spring, I'll insert it here. In addition to pruning the blackberries, you can see we have some grass growing up and some vines and just a bunch of different stuff. I've got to clean all this out too. So it's a full day. So let me show you what we're going to be doing. Okay, so all these are green new canes. These are primocanes. So on these green ones, next year they will become floricanes and they will produce our blackberries. Okay, so we want to keep these. We just want to prune them, and we're going to prune out any like spindly or, ones that don't look so strong. If you look back here, you see this what looks like a wooden tree trunk. Here's one. Over here, here's one. And right here's one. So these produce blackberries for us this year. Okay, they have already produced. They will not produce again. So we're going to prune all of these off. Okay, that's the first thing to do, is to prune off all of the blackberry canes that have already produced. I already cut this one off, okay, but it was right here. But I just wanted to show you real quick. You can tell the floricanes that have already produced because they'll still have like little clusters here of, like you can see we missed some blackberries, but you can also see right here where we have already picked them. So, you can tell. Plus the actual cane itself will be really woody, as opposed to these more velvety green ones. Now that we pruned off those 3 old canes. I'm also going to be pruning off any lower leaves that are close to the ground, as well as any laterals that are a foot or less closer to the ground. I'm going to be pruning them off as well. By pruning off the lower leaves as well as the lower lateral branches to where they're not so close to the ground, that will just help with any disease that they may get due to the water, splashing on the ground and splashing back up onto the leaves. As I was pruning the blackberry canes, I wanted to show you this. Okay, so one of the canes I had to prune, it was so long, fallen over, and it had touched the ground. So right here was the tip of that cane. It fell over and touched the ground, and then it set out roots. See these roots? Okay, I have started so many blackberry plants from that very process, from this happening. You really only need to buy 1 or 2 blackberry plants and just let them touch the ground, and you propagate so easily that way. Anyhow, so what I've done in the past is whenever I want a new blackberry plant, when it starts setting roots, I make sure the roots are really good, and then I would just cut it off about give it a couple sets of leaves about up here, and then I would let this stay in the ground, and then once it's very well established and growing, then I dig it up and transplant it. As you're pruning, you also want to be removing any leaves that have any signs of disease on them. Now, I came out here and I've sprayed these with copper fungicide about a month ago, and they haven't gotten any worse. But anyway, you do want to remove any leaves that show signs of disease. Here is a lateral coming off of this cane right here. So this is a lateral. I've already pruned this lateral and this one coming off the same cane, but here's another one. Okay, it is about 3.5 feet right now long. So I'm going to prune it back to, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet. I'm not too particular, I just kind of eyeball it. I think about right here is a good place to prune it. But I want to show you, whenever you prune anything, you always want to cut at a diagonal, okay? That just helps to, if it rains, it just helps water to, slide off easier instead of soaking into it and rotting it or inviting insects and stuff. But I always try to prune my diagonal a certain way depending on how the plant is. So you can see this lateral right here, it's already pretty stable, it's sturdy, it's not too flimsy, it's not brand new, it has some body to it. So I know it's going to be like this, okay? It's going to be hanging at this angle. So what I'm going to do is right here where this leaf is, okay, and then there's a leaf right here as well. So I'm going to prune it right here, right above this leaf, okay? But instead of pruning it like my finger is, like this diagonal, I'm actually going to go in that diagonal. And this is our pile of blackberries that's all cleaned out, as well as some weeds from between them. These look a lot better. You can see they have better airflow. They just look a lot better. I left the yarrow, obviously, because I want that there, and I did leave some of the clover that was there as well. I did get up most of it, but I did leave the roots because it is a pretty good other weed suppressor. Anyhow, so tomorrow we need to go and get some compost and some mulch and put these blackberries to bed for the winter. We got the blackberries all pruned and they are ready for the fall and winter. You can see that we pruned them a foot and just a little up on each one. We also pruned the laterals, the lower laterals, off. That way none of them touch the ground. So we composted, after we pruned them, we composted them and then mulched them. And you can see the greenery here. That's all the yarrow. But they look very nice and they are ready for the winter. Next, we're going to have to prune our whole mass of elderberries. Here's what they look like up a little bit closer. And some of these were just too strong for me to actually weave into the fence. So you can see these are all the laterals, and this is what will produce blackberries next year.